is this camp going to be any different than what you've been doing as far as teaching, or are you going to shift the focus any?
No, it'll look very similar for y'all. We have more meeting time. We had an extra walkthrough. We have meetings after practice. Some of the routine is a little bit different, but as far as the practice field, the rules are still the rules.
How has Evan looked so far, just through obviously OTAs and guys on that pass, but just how has he looked so far just transitioning, in your opinion?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. He's picked up things well inside. Training camp will be a important time of the year for him, as for all the offensive linemen.
We've only seen him on the left side. What was the thought process? Just is he familiar there, or have you moved him around when we're not here?
Yeah, I mean we'll figure all that out by the time training camp and preseason game starts.
Dave, can you establish a foundation in this mini camp? Is it an opportunity to do that for the upcoming year?
Well, you're trying to establish learning what to do and playing fast and practicing the right way, staying off the ground, staying away from the quarterback, doing the things you need to do to get work done and get things accomplished without pads on. So I think all the guys have put a lot of time and effort and energy into learning some of the systems. Some of the systems new, some of the things we're doing are a little bit different. Plus you have the young guys that you drafted, and then the free agents that are new players that are working together. The communication process is very important, playing with different players, being able to make calls, give a call, get a call, being on the same page, being locked in that regard. So a very important time of year for us in terms of laying that foundation of knowing what to do. And then once training camp hits, the train's going pretty quickly. There's not a lot of time for pulling back, getting another rep. We're trying to figure out, what side a person's playing on or who they're playing with. Those are the things for training camp will get answered.
Will any of the guys who were held out of OTAs during the team portion, will any of them do anything this week, like Malik, Jaxson, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say they're all at different spots, like I said last time, and everybody's here and at different stages of what we're asking them to do.
Will anything that you've seen in all the OTAs and the minicamp today, after you assess that, what you liked, maybe what you didn't like as much, will any of that affect any of your plan in training camp? Like, you know what, we need to work more on this, we don't have to work, you know what I'm saying? You have a training camp plan set, I'm sure, but will anything that you've seen in the spring change that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a good question, Paul. So we've changed things throughout the OTAs based on, really need to get more out of this day or practice this situation. We'll do that every day after a training camp practice of, hey, let's make sure we get back to that. Maybe we're going to get back to a practice 4. Let's get back to it a little bit quicker. There's always conversations that take place, and we'll do what we think is best.
Brian, how's Bobby doing? And I know he had that back injury last year. Is his not practicing anything to do with that, and is there anything to worry about long term?
Yeah, I'd say with all the injuries, the guys are working hard to get back.
Anything to worry about long term?
No, not long term.
Brian, have you determined when you're going to start them? Do you have a date set?
Yeah, we've worked through, LY and I are still going through all the, logistics with things. We're close, but it requires a lot of meetings with a lot of different people in the organization, whether it's the strength coach, the nutritionist, the training staff. We're still working through, but we're really close.
Right, the veterans talk about how there's a lot they get to throw at a rookie quarterback. How would you describe how Jaxson has handled everything this spring and how he's done?
Yeah, he's done excellent. He's picking up the information. It's really good to have Russ and Jameis and even Tommy, because Tommy's been in this system for a few years here, and he's kind of the head statesman in terms of that and all the adjustments that take place or the calls. He's fit right in with those guys. He's smart. He's aggressive with the football, which I like. And then, the true test will be once we start and there's live hitting and preseason games and things like that. But he's progressed, since he's been here to where he's not. He's made good improvement.
When it comes to young quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks, Brian, do you prefer to kind of give them everything at once and see what sticks, or do you just a little bit at a time, and kind of what's your overall game plan?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say philosophy in general is to throw a lot at all these guys, and then you pull it back and see what kind of sticks, and then you break it down a little bit, and then you throw it all at them again, and then by the third time they hear it, they're usually a lot more comfortable with the information. Again, there's a lot of information for the quarterbacks, I'd say in any system, but I think throwing it at them, bringing it back, breaking it down in smaller parts, and then throwing it back at them, are kind of whole philosophy. I learned that from Coach Saban.
Do you remember any specific situation throughout your coaching career where you took that approach, and when you went to go see what stuck, a specific player was like, wow, you kind of took on a little bit more than I expected him to?
Talking about absorbing the information, not a specific situation. I think they're all a little bit different. Our young receivers have done a good job. I've coached receivers for a long time, and we got some undrafted free agents that have done a really nice job since they've been here of absorbing it and then being able to play fast. So you get some type of evaluation of their skill set. Receivers a little bit easier at this time of year, based on how we do things without the pads on. But they're all a little bit different. Veterans included, they come in free agents, but they usually have something to relate it back to that they did it in another system or someone I knew that called it this way, and then you try to put the best product you can.
Brian, Jameis has got a big personality, tends to keep things loose for a lot of people. Is that an important job to kind of keep things loose and fun?
Everybody's different. Most important thing is knowing what to do and then going out there and being able to do it. But he's certainly a fun guy to be around in the meetings, outside. But he takes his craft seriously. Obviously a high pick, the highest pick you could have, and been around the block a little bit, a couple different places. He's been a good addition.
So much talk about the mental part for a rookie quarterback, but he comes on the field. Do you break him down and build him up, or do you say this is how he does it, we work with it, just fundamentals, or just how you get through a play? How do you approach that with a rookie quarterback?
Yeah, well, so he falls back naturally on his fundamentals of how he throws the football. Are there little tweaks you can make? Sure, there are little tweaks. But then when you add all the information that goes along with it, sometimes it's overload, which is fine. It happens to all young players. But you coach them technique-wise in individual drills, and coach them throughout the practice of movement in the pocket, or taking too much, or turning it loose when you can turn it loose, or avoiding a sack. But there's, you understand that there's going to be a lot of things to teach off of for these young guys. But he's done a great job with. You can give him a lot. He can absorb a lot, and then he knows kind of what to weed out and then what to really focus on the next day. So he's been good.
We've seen him primarily the last couple of times we've been here working with the second team offense. Is that because of the way he's absorbed information, or is that kind of where you want him to settle and get most of his snaps? Obviously not all.
Yeah, I'd say he's worked with the second team, the first team, and the third team.
Dave, you said back on draft night that you'll have a plan for Jaxson, and then there will be times where he won't know what that plan is, and you'll put him in spots. Have you done much of that in the OTAs? But is that more of a training camp thing? And why is that important for you to see how he handles some curveballs?
Well, it's good to get him in with the ones. There's usually a level of anxiety at times for young players when they get thrown into the mix. It's not exactly planned in terms of he's getting rep 3. Sometimes we'll just say get in there, then he's calling the play in front of veterans that have done it at a high level. I think that's important. Or put him with the 3s for a while, where he's got to kind of instruct some other guys that are asking questions about things that maybe Wandell already knows the answer to, that are asking him in the huddle, and just try to get him as many different situations as you can. So when it happens, because inevitably it'll happen at some point, that he's went through it at least 1 or 2 times.
Are all the players in the building today?
There.
Do you view Andrew Thomas as irreplaceable on your line?
I view him as a really good player for us, and he's doing a good job of rehabbing and getting close to getting back out here.
Is he on track for the start of summer camp?
Yeah, he's rehabbing. He's doing everything he can do to get better. So we'll see when that time comes.